Well, you really thought that little plan of yours would work, Mr. Jerry. Where are you taking me, you Axis dog? Really gonna waste some fuel on me? It seems the rumors of your ignorance as Americans is true. Silly capitalist dogs. Don't worry, I bet you the boys back at HQ are figuring out a plan on how to get me the hell out of here. Are you certain of this, Mr. Jerry? Well, soon you shall see the true might of the Green Vault. We shall kick you off our lands once and for all. You think I want to be here in this hellhole? Fighting you scumbags? The only reason I'm not back at Brooklyn relaxing is because you schnitzel-loving freaks. You talk a big game while being shackled in the back of my Hanamag. Why don't you let the shackles off? See what happens. We'll see if your attitude changes once you make it to the camp, Mr. Jerry. You'll never get through to me, mother. Something tells me the doctor will help change your mind. I don't know what sort of sick plans you guys got for me, but I ain't going along with nothing. You might as well dig a hole and throw me in it while you're at it. You never get anything out of me. Don't worry, I'll make sure they take good care of you, Jerry. And I'll make sure to go say hello to your friends. If they're still alive. Hey, how's it going? Mike from Mike Rolls Dice, and welcome back for our third episode of The Adventures of Jerry, our Solo Konflikt 47 roleplay series where we're taking Savage Worlds and the Mythic GM Emulator and using those two systems to figure out what it's like for the life of a basic infantryman in Konflikt 47. Now, as you can see from the intro, and if you watched the last episode, if you haven't, I highly recommend checking it out. Jerry finds himself in a little bit of a pickle. Now, he's been captured by the Axis after a botched roadside ambush, and now in hands of the Axis in a half-track headed deeper into Axis territory. We don't necessarily know what's going to happen to Jerry, so we're going to have to see what plays out, but I have a feeling he's going to be headed off towards somewhere that's probably not very good, as we could tell from the Axis platoon commander that was talking smack. So a couple things we got to do. A couple quick mistakes made last time with the soak roll. Jerry was actually supposed to take one of his dice results, not to take both, so I got a little excited there. So you should actually be at 2 wounds. And the other thing is that I forgot the -1 penalty on some of the rolls. So for every wound he has a -1 for each wound to his rolls in attempting to do stuff. So it's going to make a big difference. Last but not least, I think he was supposed to be hit with another damage roll by the MGs, because the way the rate of fire works, let's say your rate of fire of 3, each dice that's a success leads to a separate damage roll. But needless to say, Jerry got screwed up in that last encounter, and he's actually had 2 wounds at the moment. That being said, though, I think the Axis platoon commander is going to heal him up because he was bleeding out pretty bad. He's going to keep him in tip-top shape, so I'm going to pull the GM card here and just say that he's got 1 wound. That the Axis commander here stopped him from, probably bandaged up a wound or something. Because it's going to be pretty harsh, I'm going to tell you that. So something else that I forgot to mention in the end of the last episode, the chaos factor has gone down to 4 now, because it was originally at 5 at the baseline. Every time you end the scene, if we were not in control of the scene, then we're going to lower that chaos factor. So that's just going to adjust the way our fate chart works. And last but not least, we have our character list. We essentially have our threads, which is like the main mission or goals of our character. And then we have our characters list, which we added the Axis convoy. We added the woods, or the area surrounding the area, because it's not just when it says characters, it's not just people. It could be all sorts of stuff. And we also have the U.S. forces in the area, the HQ, because we're going to be rolling dice and seeing there could be things happening outside of our control in the background, kind of like the GM is doing, you know? So our main thread is really we need to escape Axis control. Jerry needs to get out of here and get back to U.S. lines, because assumably something bad's going to happen here. And that being said, we need to start a new scene. We're starting our new scene here, and Jerry is being taken to the Axis prison camp. I was asking folks, what do you think is going to happen? And I kind of had an idea of what I thought was going to happen, somebody mentioned, I'll put it up on the screen, Jerry now being captured by the Axis. He's going to be taken to a POW camp, and who knows what sort of stuff the Axis are going to be doing to him. So that being said, we have our new scene. We've started our new scene, and the current chaos factor is 4. Now, when we start the new scene, there's something we need to do. We need to test the expected scene. So we're going to roll 1d10 here, and essentially, if we roll over the chaos factor, then we're good to go. Our chaos factor is 4. If we roll within our chaos factor with a odd number, we get an altered scene. The scene's going to happen, but it's going to change in some way. If we get a even number and we roll within the chaos factor, we get an interrupted scene, which essentially means something completely different is going to happen. So let's roll and see what happens. We get a 9. So that means the scene's going to start as expected. So as the half-track's driving deeper and deeper into Axis territory, Jerry's in the back. They've stripped him of his rifle. They've stripped him of any of his real military gear, including his helmet. He's probably got his jacket on. Maybe the platoon commander's nice enough if he actually healed Jerry. They're heading deeper into Axis territory. Now, I wonder how long are they going to be driving for? Is this a long trip, or is this kind of shorter into maybe like a couple hours, or is this like a day they're going to be traveling to this facility, let's say? I'm going to ask a question. Let's see. So our chaos factor is 4. Is it a long trip? We're going to roll. It's a 35 or under. Is it a long trip? With a 13, it's not a exceptional yes, but it is a long trip. That means they are going fairly deep into Axis territory. I'm going to say they're traveling for probably a day or 2, in fact. And maybe we can get some descriptions of what it's like along the way. It's where the Mythic's nice. We have some charts and some tables to figure out what's going on. So we can just go ahead and roll on those. First off, let's get a name for this platoon commander, or this guy that captured him, because I haven't figured that out. So let's do that real quick. We're going to roll here. 46 gives us KR. 98 gives us Yorker Schnitzel. Yes, it is I, Lieutenant Yorker Schnitzel. I've captured the American. We are heading on our way. He hangs up on the long-range walkie-talkie. Okay, good. It's good to get a name to the face, to be honest with you. But I am, real quick, is there some sort of like forest? There's got to be a forest descriptor or something, right? Let's roll that real quick. I want to see what is this forest like? Because we've traveled now quite a ways. 28, dry. Oh, okay. Hasn't rained much. 31, enormous. Okay, so we're in a gigantic stretch of woodlands that isn't, it isn't like the kind of like, I don't know necessarily what are the native tree species, but imagine here in the US we have big like oak forests, and then there's more like pine forests, and here where I live we have these the pine barrens. So we have these like drier, kind of more sandy, arid, it's almost like a desert type area, but it is still forests here in North America. But that's kind of what I'm thinking, maybe more like a pine based area where it's pretty dry and there's fires frequently or something like that. So they've been traveling for a couple days now, right? And they've left this sort of more traditional, almost think of like Hertzkin forest, right? That traditional European dense forest with the old growth trees and all that. They made their way through the Axis, through the countryside. They've now opened up into this kind of larger, a little bit sparser forest, but it's a huge forest mass. It's like a huge section of forest, and it's more dry. It's a drier forest, so it's like these pine tree type areas. Now they're traveling for a while. Does anything crazy happen along the way? Like, let's roll in the meanings table. I want to get an idea. I feel like that he's gonna see some stuff along the way, and I just wanna, what's some of the stuff that's happening? 54, indulge. Oh. 53, look at that. Location. Oh, this is interesting. So maybe as they're traveling, the Axis platoon commander just can't help himself. You know, he's been talking smack to Jerry this whole time. Oh, you thought your little ambush would work, did you? You silly Americans. Soon you will see the might of the true and the true power. Don't laugh at me. He's trying to speak English, but he's not that good at speaking English, the platoon commander, the Axis guy. Soon you will see the true power of the Axis. You will find out firsthand, Mr. Jerry. Something else, as he's rambling on and talking smack to Jerry the whole time, because you can't help it, he's going to mention, this place that you are going, you see, is a place of great wonders. Soon you will find out. You will meet the camp director, and he's a very special man. I don't know where this accent's going, so I need to get more angry in German. In a 9! You will see, Jerry. You will see. He's pretty much alluding to the fact that, essentially, Jerry is heading to this camp, this prisoner camp, and that there's this camp director that is quite an unsavory fellow, all right? It seems like they're going deep into Axis territory for a reason. Not only are they trying to hide their prisoners, the Axis, for whatever reason, but because they don't want the Allies to get to them easily. They're also perhaps doing some nefarious things as well. Perhaps the Green Vault have their sticky little fingers involved in stuff, and the last thing they want is the Allies to be able to find this easily. That's why it's in this forest, deep in this forest. It is a little bit more sparse and stuff, but it is still a pine forest, so I'm assuming even though there is sparsely dense, or it is a sparser forest than, like, you know, the Hertzkin or something, I think they still probably have some sort of facility or something. The doctor. Oh, you will meet the doctor soon, Jerry. Something tells me you might become his new favorite patient. Some sort of stupid Axis laugh like that, you know what I mean? All right, so I wanted to test the expected scene. We got that. Jerry is still wounded. He has 1 wound. We need to keep that in mind. The Axis platoon commander healed him up, so that way the doctor will be able to have a prime time candidate. You want to keep your prisoners slightly wounded, but not too unhealthy, because, you know, whatever the hell he's going to do. But that being said, we did update, we do have repair and thievery now as our advancement. We're going to give Jerry a advancement every session, because we're kind of doing a shorter campaign, if you will. So we either get to pick a attribute die, we can up skill dies, we can take an edge. We're going to bump up 2 skill dies to an appropriate level. We can take repair and thievery up to a D4. So that's what we're doing. So Jerry and the platoon commander, they're going to be driving off, and something tells me they're going to be getting to their destination here soon. So we might need a change of scenery. So Jerry's traveled through the forest for about 2 days or so, and after a while, the commander, what the hell's this guy's name? Yorkwood Schnitzel. Yorkwood Schnitzel. Yes, Colonel. Yes, of course. He's slightly wounded, but I patched him up. I think the doctor will be happy with his next test subject, let's say. As they approach closer, Jerry sees the ambience and the mood has shifted in this countryside. It's obviously dry and it's dark, but it's nighttime, and as they pull up, there's some spotlights, but the spotlights are green, which is kind of interesting. And he sees a big Panzer IV mech with its Schwerfield cannon turned to the side and aimed down the road. And you can see it's kind of, essentially, it's on and ready to fire. And the spotlights turn to Jerry and the half-track as they approach. Halt! Is that you, Yorkshire Schnitzel? Yes, Commandant. And they hop out of the half-track. Get out! You know, he's telling Jerry, and he's gumbutts him a little bit. He was kind of nice. He was like he was kind of mean, yelling. I mean, you know, he was belittling him, but he did help him and stuff. But now that you could tell, his demeanor completely changes once he's in front of the superiors, let's say. Pushes Jerry off the half-track. Forward! Colonel, yes, here's the American we found trying to set up an ambush on the side of the road. And Colonel von Lichtenstein is standing there. He's in Stalltroopen armor. He's got an STG Z44, and he's got his cape. And you can see on the Stalltroopen, on the Panzer, on the Colonel, they have a green hand that's painted onto their chest. And Jerry knows enough about the green hand that they've heard rumors. They're essentially a heavily mechanized sort of force with utilizing Stalltroopen as well as Schwerfield cannons and high-powered Rift Tech and stuff like that. So the Colonel, very good, Schnitzel. I see you brought us a fresh one. Not only standing in front of Colonel von Lipstein, there's the stall trooping with the anti-tank gun, which is pretty menacing. But there's also, in front of Jerry, a 8.5 to 9 foot Schreckwolfen that is licking its chomps, just smelling the sweat and the fear that probably Jerry has on him. Just innately pulling up to this camp is probably got to be all this stuff's rolling through Jerry's head. He sees this Schreckwolfen. I'm gonna make him take a fear check right here. He might be, I don't know how he does around Schreckwolfen, for instance. So let's go ahead. I'm pretty certain it's a spirit test here, and he's gonna roll 2d6 here. So let's do a check here. He's got to make a spirit roll. Let's see. And he fails. All right. So a failure means that there's a consequence below. So I'm just going to say that yes, he failed. He's terrified of this Schreckwolf. And now there is one thing we can do, and that's I think we have to roll on the fear table now. Oh, we do have to roll. Okay. We're going to roll. This is a D20 here, and we're adding a +2 to the roll for this. And a 9, so an 11. So he's essentially shaken. It's just good to roll this because he can get a phobia to where he's essentially permanently at a negative interacting around Schreckwolfen. But what we found is this Schreckwolfen standing there, you could tell it just wants to leap right on top of him and just rip him to shreds. But Colonel von Liechtenstein is, calm yourself, he tells the Schreckwolfen. It's not lunchtime yet, or something like that, you know? Stand down. But Jerry's terrified of this thing, and for the right reason, obviously. There is some other people in the camp and stuff like that, but let's get into that. So Jerry is going to make his way. The colonel says, yes, bring him, give him one of the bunks, and make sure he feels comfortable. It looks like maybe like a camp commandant or something like that, you know, is, you, this way. And Jerry has to walk past the Schreckwolfen, which is not going to be fun. And I think as Jerry's being brought into the camp, Schnitzel here, the guy who captured Jerry, is going to talk to Colonel von Liechtenstein. They can hear some rumblings, and I think what we hear is Colonel von Liechtenstein is kind of pissed. Yeah, I'm getting tired of guarding this damn camp. You know, he's like, we need to be on the front lines again. But so it seems like, I think the Green Hand are being kept here because they're guarding this place because it's like super top secret information, and they also do the bidding of the Green Vault. They're heavily tied to the Green Vault, obviously. Clearly the Colonel is probably here for a specific reason, because this is a pretty powerful force. That being said, Jerry makes his way into the camp. Now, as we see the camp here, it's probably a huge camp. It expands outwards towards, this open area, and there's all these little bunkhouses and stuff like that. And you could see there's some different characters that are at the bunkhouses. But I think they're going to assign Jerry one of the bunkhouses. It looks like the middle one is full. It looks like there's 2 Brits there. One older gentleman, and then there's a younger gentleman with a small monkey, which we're going to have to figure out what's going on. And then there's also, it looks like 2 Americans in separate bunks. So Jerry's going to be assigned to one of those. Let's roll and see. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going to the first one. 1, 2. So they're gonna lead Jerry over here, and they're probably saying, it's late, it's near the end, it just gotten dark, and they were probably either working or, let's say yes. Let's ask, do they make the prisoners like work here, like dig stuff, move all sorts of crap, whatever the hell they're using them for? Let's see, 35. I'm gonna say it's very likely, so it's gonna be a 65. With a 46, yes. So they probably have some like shovels or something. You can see they're somewhat disheveled because they have been using them as forced labor or something. Jerry's been assigned this bunk. Now he gets assigned with another, essentially basic infantryman, a rifleman. Not from his platoon or well, you know what? Let's ask. Is it from his platoon? I'm gonna say very unlikely. So it's a 10. 53, no. So it's just another U.S. soldier And you know what? Let's give this guy. I'm gonna call him Joe. His name's Joe. Hey, my name's Joe. You know what's going on? Maybe he's from Jersey. You know, Jerry's from Brooklyn. But so that means I can have a very easy time doing the accents. But he gets bunked with Joe. Okay. Now it is late near the night. Is Joe a talkative dude, or is Joe heading straight to his bunk? Let's see. I'm gonna ask. It's a brand new dude. He's probably gonna want to talk to him. I'm gonna make it likely that they're gonna chat right now. It's gonna be a 50. 80? No. Okay. So this is what happens. Jerry gets bunked with this guy. The access. All right, get inside. Get ready for the morning. You'll be working hard as usual. And if you're lucky, perhaps the doctor may want to see you. But this guy, Joe, immediately, Jerry's like, you know, they get shuffled inside, and Jerry's probably like, hey, so, you know, what's it like over here, you know? And Joe goes, you'll find out. He just rolls right into bed and just goes right to sleep. He's probably extremely exhausted, and in fact, maybe he doesn't want to necessarily get to know his bunkmate, let's say. But so that being said, Jerry is now in this POW camp, and he is assigned this bunk with Joe. So I did look up. I am using the Savage Worlds Horror Companion. We actually did we rolled on the table, and with the Shaken, the character Shaken, out of combat, he also gains a level of fatigue. So we have fatigue, actually, which means Jerry is also at a minus to his rolls. I actually have to look up what the fatigue stuff is, because it's been a little while, but I'm pretty certain between being wounded and fatigued, he's going to be at some minus penalties, which is not good. Subtract 1 from all trait rolls. Yep, alright, so he's wounded and he's fatigued, so he's minusing 2 from all of his rolls. It's not good. Alright, so, in the morning, Colonel von Liechtenstein and the guards, come out, you utter scum. And Jerry and his new bunkmate, Joe, which Joe still hasn't said a word. He's probably all, you know, unshaven and everything. They come outside. The 2 British soldiers come outside. Again, one looks older, almost like he's an officer or something. And the other American steps outside of his bunk. Now, we should get real quick. We should get some descriptors. We know what they kind of look like, essentially. I picture the older English chap. He probably talks something like this. And, you know, let's get some names, because Colonel von Liechtenstein is going to call the roll, if you will. Let's get let's figure out this guy's name. Maybe we call him Nigel, in fact. But, yes, in fact, I will call him Nigel. Because I thought of Nigel Thornberry as a child, watching on Nickelodeon. And there's also a younger man with a monkey, which I think we're going to call him Williamson. And the monkey's name is George. No relation to anything that we've ever done in the past. And last but not least, we have one more guy. Okay, so Colonel von Liechtenstein. All right, you maggots, step forward. Jerry. The newcomer. We'll see if the doctor's pleased with you. Joe. And Joe like stumbles forward. Jerry steps forward as well. Nigel. And the British platoon commander steps forward. Williamson, George. Because Jerry notes he does call the monkey's name as well, and the monkey does shamble along. And last but not least, oh, god damn it, Ace McThunder. I here. And to the last American who shambles forward. All right, well, you guys know the deal. You know your quota. He just pretty much explained they're probably excavating Earth, doing something. They're just using them as to get some basic stuff done around here while they're waiting for the doctor to come. And I think what Colonel von Liechtenstein alludes to, if you can't carry your weight, then you don't earn your keep in this camp. We need to give the Schreckwolfen a name. Let's roll. 72. 72 is Ra. 87. Tor. Rator. Isn't that right, Rator? And the Schreckwolfen is like, you know, growling his teeth, like salivating, just looking at George and Williamson. Like, he's been waiting to eat that monkey for so long, dude. And the British guy's just like an appetizer on top. Jerry's definitely in trouble. Now, he's fatigued. We'll just say, you know, they're waiting for the doctor to arrive. Yeah, so they're probably gonna go off and they're gonna do some work and maybe like dig some trenches. Probably, we'll say maybe in the front, they're fortifying the front position of the entrance of the gate and digging some trenches and whatnot. So they're gonna be doing some work there. So we'll just they get all the guys to do some trench work and whatnot, and everyone will be guarding them as well. So Jerry is working. He's actually paired up with Nigel and Ace. Jerry's like, nice to meet you guys. What's it like over here, you know? And as they're working throughout the day, now Jerry is fatigued, right? I'm gonna make them all make rolls, see how they do, by the way. Ace is like, oh, hey, by the way, my name is Ace Thunder. And he's like, Jerry's like, yeah, I think I'll call you Ace. Yeah, sounds good. Nice to meet you, Ace. And Nigel's like, oh, yes, hello, sir. Oh, how did you end up in this situation, chap? And Jerry explains how he got into an ambush, yada, yada, yada. And as they're working throughout the day, they're, you know, digging these parapet or these holes. Maybe there's some like blindages or something, some coverage for some machine guns and stuff like that. And fortifying it with like timber and stuff. We're gonna find out probably what happened to these guys and how they ended up in their situation. And I think we find out that Ace was a linebacker pilot who jumped in behind enemy lines with fireflies, and he was one of the last guys left, and you know, pretty deep behind enemy lines, and he essentially got captured and got brought back to this POW camp. Nigel was leading a expeditionary force, you know, in some actually let's roll for Nigel. Let's see what happened with Nigel. How did he end up? Let's roll some actions real quick. 44. It's gonna be fight. Okay, so he was fighting. 44. And I just realized we're rolling so for fate chart questions, if we got double like that would be random events. But the fact that we rolled 2 44s in a row, so that's fight and an illusion. So Nigel was leading a armored platoon with Matildas and perhaps maybe some like Cromwells and stuff, as well as maybe some British Grenadiers. And what happened is, after a while, they got sent on a mission to go take on this panzer force head on, but it turns out it was like a ruse, and it was an ambush set up by Colonel von Liechtenstein in the Green Hand. And that's when they knocked out a bunch of the armored tanks, probably front and rear, and it was a bad situation, I'm assuming. Probably George and Williamson were with Nigel together, and they both got captured. Again, this is the sort of thing, this armored section kind of was going deeper into enemy lines, and probably this might have been a while ago. Since then, the territory's been taken, so now we're pretty far back into Axis territory. Now, one thing I want them to do is, while this is happening and they're working, we got to make Jerry, we haven't been doing much rolls, but we're kind of doing a lot of cool narrative, finding out what's going on. Let's see how he does with his what sort of, I'll give him an athletics roll here because he's shoveling stuff, or we could just give him a strength roll. It doesn't matter, both. And he's at -2, so he's looking for a 4. And no, he unfortunately did not do good. So there's probably not going to be a whole bunch of crazy stuff happening. I am going to spend a Benny, dude. I have to spend a Benny. I'm pretty certain something bad's going to happen if he doesn't meet his quota today. So we're looking for a 6. Oh, we got a 6 on one. Okay, a 4, so that doesn't do it, but the 6 explodes with a 2, so that's 8 minus 2. So he actually succeeds with +2. So that being said, he does manage to find the strength that he needs to make it through the day. They're digging, they're shoveling. I am going to make a roll. Let's see how Williamson and George did. Kind of curious for myself. Joe, he did better. Ace, oh my god, he's not carrying his weight. And then Nigel did it. So George and Williamson and Ace are actually in trouble. They didn't meet their quotas for the day. They're 10 to 12 hours of digging and working in these trenches and stuff, they're probably going to wrap it up for the night. Now, that being said, does the doctor arrive at this point? And I feel like it's going to be very, very likely. In fact, I'm going to say it's nearly certain the doctor arrives before dark here, because what we find out, Colonel von Liechtenstein probably is like, George, Ace, forward! And he's going to call them to the front here. It seems you have gotten too comfortable here. You haven't met your quotas for the day. But perhaps I'm going to have to call the doctor then. And what we find out is that if you don't meet the quota, then the doctor comes and he's going to take someone away to his laboratory, let's say. And in fact, Jerry's been noticing, like, let's get some descriptors of the camp. It's probably pretty big, surrounded by forests. I want to say there's probably some, like, there's these wooden shacks, right? And there's some more military grade structures to store for the Axis troops to stay in and their hardware. They don't want to leave Panzer IVs out there for the Allies to see at times. What Jerry's been noticing is that there's probably some sort of other structure, or perhaps maybe by the satellite dish or something. There's like another small concrete, almost looks like a little pillbox. But people have been going in, and they haven't been coming out for a while, and more people have been going in, more Axis troops. Probably people carrying supplies and stuff. And it almost looks like there's an entrance to an underground facility. So that's what I'm going to say. But, so that being said, we have two candidates here that didn't carry their weight today. So I think the doctor is going to show up. But let's just roll for fun for a fate check. I'm going to say it's nearly certain. So we're actually looking for a 65. With a 44, yes, he does. So what he's going to do, Colonel von Liechtenstein is going to gather all the men probably back to their appropriate bunks, and Jerry and Joe will go to theirs, but Ace and George will stand out in the open. So everyone kind of keeps watch here. What we see is a particular Axis fellow who Jerry sees out of the corner of his eye, probably out of that little kind of like pillbox area. It's nighttime too, by the way. It's gotten dark now. It's always at night. Probably Nigel mentions, oh no, the doctor's coming. He only arrives at night, you see. And standing behind George and Williamson is a character. Now, it's pretty dark too, and it's almost like there's like a shadow that is cast onto this character. Because there is lights and stuff in this camp, but it's hard to explain. Jerry's trying to like see the face of this guy. He's wearing this cloak that has this intricate camo pattern. It almost looks like a more modern day camo pattern when it comes to like an urban camo, if you will, for like, you know, industrial sort of stuff. And he has these innate sort of like red insignias from the Axis, like pins and medals, and an intricate dagger in his hip. But he can't really make out the face, but he can see from the hands, you know, Jerry's trying to make out that something's not right about the man's appearance. Doctor, yes. Well, these two haven't carried their weight today, so whichever one fits your fancy. And the doctor is looking over, perhaps he walks up to both George and Williamson and Ace. Jerry's watching, and the guy almost kind of like smells, you know what I mean? And Jerry's getting this weird sense. It was very similar to what the Schreckwolfen was doing to him, but it's almost like he was like smelling his fear, you know what I mean? And you know what? I think we're just gonna have to roll between who it is, to be honest with you. 1, 2, 3 is George and Williamson. 4, 5, 6, Ace. It's Ace. And so what he does is he goes up to George and smells, kind of like, just kind of eyes him down, you know. And again, at the same time, Jerry can't really see this guy's face perfectly. It's almost like there's like a cloud in front of, like a shroud of darkness. And what's gonna happen, I think, is when he goes behind Ace, yes, this one. And he turns away and just walks off back towards the satellite dish, and Ace goes, oh, you know, look, guys, you know, I could always, look, tomorrow's gonna be a better day, all right? Hey, Colonel, you love saying my name, Ace Thunder. And right as he says that, shut up, get him out of here. And probably some of the Axis troops, they run up and they grab Ace and they start dragging him towards the satellite dish. Oh, Nigel! Oh! As they like gun butt him, and knock him out. And they drag him off into this little concrete structure, which Jerry has kind of put 2 and 2 together. There's probably something going on down there, you know what I mean? But that being said, we have made it to this POW camp. Jerry has survived the first day, and we've kind of met a wide variety of characters, which, what do you call it? I was excited. So we're gonna need to see what happens here between the doctor, the colonel, and all of our cast of characters here. But something tells me Jerry's gonna need to make his way inside that laboratory. Something tells me there's probably some other folks here that possibly are trying to do the same. Now, let's just say this. What we've surmised is all of the characters here, they're not just, even though Jerry is a regular rifleman, he is pretty good at what he does, and he was sent forward as a recon dude. But all the other guys are pretty top-notch soldiers. We don't know much about Joe, but Nigel, a outstanding commander leading this tank brigade or whatever. We have George, who's probably some sort of intelligence officer, the monkey, and then his handler, Williamson. And we have Ace, who is a linebacker pilot. So some pretty high-level military guys, This isn't a regular POW camp. But that being said, we're going to need to see what happens to Jerry, and we'll have to find out in the next episode. Well, thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Mike from Mike Rolls Dice. I wanted to slow things down a little bit and kind of get a little bit more of an idea of what's going on here and shape the world a little bit. So now we're getting into the weird kind of horror, dark and twisted stuff of what the Axis are doing in Konflikt 47, and personally, I'm really excited to find out. There's a lot of scary stuff for Jerry to potentially come face to face with here in the near future. So, all right, well, thank you so much for watching. We're going to have a new Turnip 28 battle report coming out soon, as well as some more Konflikt battle reports. Well, thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep rolling high on those dice.